how can you be so naive to think that this man is going to ponce around in a carriage or whatever he's going to be in when only 20 minutes from the palace is people starving on Wharf Road? He came there last year, he left it within about 15 minutes because he couldn't stand it, and he ran off. And do you know what I mean? To tell you how many food banks are in Southwark alone? I mean, do you think it warrants £57 million or probably more for us to pay that when we're starving and there's kids with no clothes? I'm telling you, it's an insult. I mean, it's a hobby for you, and I understand that when you're probably sitting at home with a gin and Dubonnet, that's fine. But people are starving 20 minutes from where he's meant to be. There was families that went to war for this area. They was in the undergrounds in Kennington. They built back this area. It's all families, South East London families worked hard to build back this area, and he's left them to starve and wants to walk 20 minutes down the road with a big crown. Oh, and it weighs how?
Welcome, dear viewers, to another intriguing episode of Celebrity Scoop. Remember, your subscription is the key that unlocks these fascinating stories. Today, we embark on a journey through time, exploring the grandeur of royal coronations. These ceremonies, steeped in tradition and opulence, have for centuries symbolized the ascendancy of a new monarch to the throne. They are spectacles that captivate the world, a dance of splendor and power, where every detail, every gesture is laden with symbolism and significance. Imagine, if you will, the procession of a coronation. Gilded carriages drawn by magnificent horses trot down the streets, glinting in the sunlight. The air resonates with the clatter of hooves on cobblestones, the peal of bells and the cheers of the crowd. The carriage carries the monarch-to-be, adorned in velvet robes of the deepest crimson, the colour of power, of passion, of life itself. The coronation ceremony itself is a sight to behold. The monarch, resplendent in their regalia, is crowned amidst the hushed awe of the congregation. The crown, a symbol of authority and responsibility, is heavy with precious stones and the weight of history. The moment the crown touches the monarch's head, a bond is forged, a covenant between the ruler and the ruled. These events are not merely about the pomp and pageantry. They are a living testament to the rich tapestry of history, a nod to the past while stepping into the future. They represent continuity and change, the passing of the baton from one monarch to the next. The grandeur of these ceremonies is a reflection of the nation's heritage, a reaffirmation of its identity. However, behind the glittering facade of these royal spectacles, there lies a question that often goes unasked, and that is the cost. Not just the monetary value, but the social and moral implications of such extravagant displays of wealth. Now, while the spectacle and tradition are undeniable, let's delve deeper into the cost of these grand ceremonies. The recent coronation of King Charles came with an eye-watering price tag. Indeed, the cost of this grand spectacle was nothing short of astronomical. The figures are in, and they are staggering. $91 million. That's right, you heard correctly, $91 million. This colossal sum was spent on the coronation of King Charles, a day filled with pomp and ceremony, from the moment the royal procession set off to the final banquet in the grand halls of the palace. Gold carriages, velvet robes and royal feasts. The cost of maintaining tradition and upholding the grandeur of royal coronations is indeed significant. But let's pause for a moment and take into account where these funds come from. Yes, it's from you, the taxpayers. Every penny spent on the coronation was footed by the public purse. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? While families struggle to make ends meet, their hard-earned money is being spent on a single day of royal extravagance. For a bit of perspective, let's take a quick look back at previous coronations. Queen Elizabeth's coronation in 1953 cost an estimated $43 million in today's money. That's less than half of what was spent on King Charles's coronation. The inflation of costs over the years is startling, to say the least. But what is even more concerning is the stark contrast of this lavish spending against the backdrop of the prevailing social issues that the country is grappling with. With an increasing number of people struggling to afford basic necessities, the question inevitably arises: can such extravagance be justified? As we marvel at the spectacle of royal coronations, we cannot turn a blind eye to the cost borne by the taxpayers. We must ask ourselves, is this the best use of our public funds? One cannot help but question the necessity of such extravagance in the face of prevailing social issues. In stark contrast to the royal grandeur, a different reality exists for many British citizens. While the monarchy revels in the opulence of gold carriages and velvet robes, the ordinary people of Britain face a different reality. A reality where a simple warm meal is not assured, where a roof overhead is not a given, but a luxury. Across England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, food banks are pushed to their limits. They scramble to meet the demands of those who are less fortunate. These institutions, meant to be a safety net for the most vulnerable, are now overwhelmed, struggling to keep their shelves stocked. In the shadow of the palace gates, homelessness is on the rise. People, through no fault of their own, find themselves without a place to call home. They huddle in makeshift shelters under bridges, in doorways, their only protection from the harsh British weather. Families, too, are feeling the pinch. In households across the nation, parents are forced to make heart-wrenching decisions. They are choosing between heating their homes or putting food on the table. The choice between a warm house or a full stomach is a choice no one should have to make. The disparity between the two realities is stark and unsettling. On one hand, we have the monarchy, a symbol of national pride, steeped in tradition and history, and on the other, we have the people, the heart of the nation, struggling to meet their basic needs. The line between preserving tradition and addressing social issues has become blurred. The cost of the coronation, while a spectacle to behold, is a stark reminder of the divide. It begs the question, is this the cost we pay for tradition? So, as we ponder the grandeur of royal coronations and the cost that comes with it, we cannot ignore the other side of the coin. The side that shows us the harsh reality faced by many British citizens. It seems unsettling that such disparity exists within the same borders. This disparity raises not just a financial question, but a moral one. In an era where the divide between the haves and the have-nots is ever widening, one is compelled to question the morality of such grandeur. Can we, in good conscience, justify the expenditure of millions on ceremonial events when so many are grappling with the harsh realities of life? While the coronation of a king is indeed a momentous occasion, it is imperative to examine the moral implications of such a spectacle amidst the backdrop of the social issues plaguing the nation. We must ask ourselves, is it morally right to celebrate tradition and history, to bask in opulence while our fellow citizens struggle to make ends meet? How can we revel in the splendour of a coronation when just a stone's throw from the palace families are choosing between heating their homes and putting food on the table? This situation has sparked a wave of conversations and debates. The grandeur of royal coronations versus the stark reality of the world we live in is a topic that has many of us questioning the morality of such extravagance. The splendour of gold carriages, velvet robes and royal feasts, set against a backdrop of struggling families and overwhelmed food banks, paints a picture of stark contrast. The sum of $91 million, or £72 million, is not just a number, it represents choices made, priorities set and values upheld. It's about more than just tradition and history, it's about what we as a society deem important. The question remains, is this just another royal scandal, or is this a moment of awakening, a time when we collectively open our eyes to the reality of the world around us and demand change? This is not a question for the few, but for the many. It's a question for you. Your thoughts, your perspectives, your voices matter in this conversation. It's not just about the royals, it's about you. It's about what you think is right and what you believe needs to change. This is a discussion that needs your input because, ultimately, public opinion moulds public policy and public policy shapes the world we live in. So we encourage you to share your thoughts. Is this just another scandal in the long list of royal excesses, or is this a pivotal point in history? Is it time for a change, or should we continue to uphold tradition regardless of the cost? As we conclude, remember your voice matters. So don't hesitate to let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for joining us on Celebrity Scoop, and as always, don't forget to subscribe for more captivating discussions.